Welcome to Her Money Revolution. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, your guide on this journey to becoming a wealthy woman. As a certified financial planner, owner, and advisor at Family Capital Management, I'm on a mission to simplify the conversation around investing and to help women generate more wealth by making their money work for them. Join me as we navigate powerful financial planning strategies to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. This podcast is your go-to destination for no fluff, easy to implement financial and investing advice. If you are ready to achieve audacious financial goals, dream beyond boundaries, and generate massive wealth for you and your family, this podcast is for you. Grab a notebook, let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Her Money Revolution, where we empower women to take control of their financial futures. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, and today we are diving into a topic that's often overlooked but incredibly powerful: the role of your network in building wealth. Whether it's through networking, mentorship, community support, the people that you surround yourself with truly have a profound impact on your personal and your financial journey. You've probably heard the saying, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. I do believe that. And I also know your knowledge and skills are crucial. The relationships that we get to build will open doors, otherwise remain closed. So let me clarify, when I say networking, it isn't just about collecting business cards or LinkedIn connections or TikTok followers. No, it's about creating meaningful relationships that lead to opportunities, that lead to partnerships, and yes, even financial growth. Years ago, I read this book called The Millionaire Zone by financial expert Jennifer Openshaw. The book is based on extensive research involving major players like venture capitalists and founders of companies like PayPal and LinkedIn, as well as some of their employees. What Openshaw discovered is that wealthy individuals don't just rely on their skills, they use their networks far more effectively than others to get ahead in life or to get ahead financially. What they do by leveraging their connections, they have turned their phone books, so to speak, into checkbooks. They secure jobs, investment opportunities, or other business deals that they wouldn't otherwise have. So if you're like me, you might be thinking like, well, of course, rich people know other rich people. So of course, it's easier for them to get richer. Okay, sure. While that may be true, most of successful people didn't start with that affluent network. They built them from the ground up. They started from scratch. They didn't inherit connections. They created them. So as someone who likes to test and verify what I read, I applied some of Openshaw's principles in my own life. And let me share 5 of the key takeaways. She goes over 7, but for me, I'm just going to talk about the 5 key takeaways from the Millionaire Zone that have worked personally for me in my real life. So number 1, don't go it alone. Despite what we read about financially successful people, from Oprah to Bill Gates to teen pop stars, they don't go it alone. They have people around them. Oftentimes 1 or 2 key people that help keep things moving forward. If you've been told, pull yourself up by bootstraps and you'll succeed, you know that it's pretty tough to do that by yourself, especially when things get tough, right? And I know from my own experience and my own research that tells me that traditional view of how people got rich going it alone, or even people that market themselves still today as, I'm a self-made millionaire. It just isn't true. You're not self-made. You have people to help you, whether it's someone helping you do laundry at home or getting your kids to where they need to go, or solely focusing on launching you in this new business. When I started to get really serious about launching this podcast, the amount of time and energy and lack of knowledge, quite honestly, and experience in regards to hosting a podcast was extremely overwhelming. I could have quit a million different times before I actually launched. But thankfully, through networking, I found Brooke, who I hired to come alongside of me and help me launch my business. She used her experience in launching multiple podcasts and used her network to launch Her Money Revolution. So don't go it alone. Get support, get some help, hire a mentor. I hired a mentor, and for me, that was a true game changer. A good mentor will provide experience-based guidance. They have been where you are and can offer advice based on their own experiences. They can share their wisdom. They help you navigate the complexities of your personal finance, your career development, helping you get past mental blocks or whatever it is that you would hire that mentor for. This is a person that will hold you accountable for your business and financial goals. They will help you stay on track and they'll help you stay motivated. And for me, one of the biggest benefits that I had with my mentor is her long-term perspective. She helped me see the bigger picture and she encouraged me to think of long-term rather than getting bogged down in the short-term challenges. She'd say to me often, everybody has a first day. Just show up, just start. So hire a mentor. The second takeaway from the book is fear will hold you back. We think we have to go it alone. We often get fearful or anxious. This can be caused with investing, starting a business, climbing the corporate ladder. This fear can prevent us from really being in the zone, as Jennifer calls it in her book, being in the zone, or I like to say, being in your genius. Working in your genius. And I also like to add, just show up. For example, research finds that 53% of Americans wanted to start a business, but they felt anxious about venturing out on their own. Why? Fear, being alone, failing alone. It's very vulnerable. But yet 56% said that they would be less fearful if they could lean on someone to use the people or the organizations around them to help them succeed. In other words, effective networking. Okay. So originally when I started feeling like I wanted to have this podcast, I tried to convince my husband to do one with me. A couple of years ago, we were talking about it. And I'm like, hey, we could start a marriage and a parenthood and a business ownership or a wealth advisor and a corporate CEO coaching and all of the titles that John and I have together. Let's start a podcast together. Still very open to the idea. He's like, sure, but maybe in like 10 to 15 years. And I was like, well, that really doesn't align with my goal. My timeline was a lot sooner than 10 to 15 years. So what did I do? Because I was fearful of going it alone, I brought the idea up to my business partner and he was on board as well. He was like, hey, yeah, let's do it. The timing actually seemed to be perfect because we had talked about doing something more for our clients over the years. Over those years, neither one of us wanted to do much social media or marketing for our business, FCM. But when the idea of getting more help and getting uplifting content out to our clients, when I presented that to my business partner, we were both really excited about it. He's like, sure, let's do this. So I ran with it. And a few months in, we realized my target audience is not his. His is not mine. And the amount of time and dedication that it would take to start and launch a podcast turned him off. He's like, I have other priorities right now. This is not something that I want to do. It's not really a goal of mine. So I'm like, okay, well, shoot. Again, here I am. I was alone and honestly scared. Fear was holding me back, but I kept showing up. And I kept this on my vision board and I kept talking about it. And I networked with other women who have a podcast. And eventually I found a team of people to help me. So if you have a vision of starting a business, get around the right people that will support you and that will dream big with you, and networking group that will offer a space to share some amazing ideas or celebrate your successes or navigate those challenges together. Today I have a group of ladies, there's 6 of us. We're all business owners and we meet for about 2.5 hours every month. And we bring our big ideas or our issues every month together. Every month, run out of time because we're lovely ladies. Our conversations are amazing. We leave feeling so motivated or with a new introduction that's going to help us launch a business or grow our business or reach a goal that we've set. We encourage one another in all areas of life, not just business, but our marriages and our kids and all of the things. And I truly believe that this relationship, the relationships that we have built, is essential, not only for your business, but for mental health. So many times we show up and we're all frazzled, like, oh my gosh, I have so many things on my to-do list. I should be doing so many other things, but we're all there. And it's so healthy for us. This group that we have put together, we call it BOLD, beyond ordinary, living daringly. And I am proud to say we are doing just that. It is amazing. I could tell you so many stories of each of them and how awesome their businesses are growing and the impact they're making on their communities, etc. But my whole point here is don't go it alone and don't let fear stop you. Okay, number 3, the third thing that I took from her book is that millionaires leverage their networks better. Research finds this to be true as well. It found that millionaires actually do tap into their networks more effectively. What do I mean? Well, this isn't just about going to some fancy, golf club that costs 50 grand a year to hang out with other ultra rich people. No, the wealthy use the people, and not in a bad way, right? But they use people, places, and resources around them and to help them. So think of your business, the contacts and the relationships that you have, your family, your friends, your coworkers, or other professional associations that you might have, even in your workplace or your church. The research in her book showed that millionaires benefited tremendously from all of these elements right in their own network. 50% from a business relationship, 46% from friends and family, 45% from coworkers, 28% from college friends. Yet oftentimes we forget we have them right at our fingertips. So leverage the network that is right there in front of you. When I moved to Georgia, I moved there in 2006. I never intended to move back to Michigan. However, my dad, and I explained this relationship in episode 8, so go back and listen if you would like, but he had an opportunity for me to buy his business, FCM. So I am part of that 46% statistic that use my network to advance not only my paycheck, but my life purpose. The fourth takeaway from her book was moving outside of your comfort zone. So you've probably heard this before, and it is so true. To get ahead, you often have to try something new, right? If you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're not stretching yourself enough. You're not going to see a different outcome. I think that's actually the definition of crazy making, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So we have to move out of our comfort zone to get ahead. It could be packing up and moving somewhere for a promotion or a new job, or taking the risk of leaving an existing job. Maybe you don't have something lined up, but you know that God's got something bigger and better for you. You just have to take that first step. I moved states. I moved 2 times. I moved to a different country once. I know, although it was a short season and I knew I was coming back, the point is I still moved outside of my 3-mile radius comfort zone that propelled me into so much more. So going outside your comfort zone can be fearful, which I've been, I know, but I have also seen how this can work. 60%, however, nearly 60% of millionaires felt that they had to move outside of their comfort zone to reach a critical point in their career. So I'd encourage you. I've seen this especially hinder women, that we want to stay close to home or we want to stay close to our families, but taking that step and moving out of your comfort zone could be exactly what is necessary for you to launch a better career or a better financial situation for yourself. The 5th point is to start with your home zone. Openshaw, in her book, The Millionaire Zone, emphasizes the importance of your home zone, what she calls it, as a powerful starting point on the road to success. So your home zone includes the people, the places, and the resources that you are already familiar with. Rather than looking outward, begin by tapping into this home zone network. She shares numerous examples of individuals who, by nurturing the connections within their home zone, found that the support that they needed, especially when it came time to launch a business or pursue a new opportunities, were right there. They were available and they were all willing to help and support them. So often the key resources are right around you, waiting to be leveraged, waiting to offer their support and their help. So it's maybe not as easy as that sounds, but here's what I did and what I would encourage you to do as well. So start by taking an inventory of your current network. Break down all of your current connections into different categories. So the ones that I used were my personal connections. So that's my family, friends, neighbors, members of my church or local communities that I'm involved in. So those are your personal connections. And then break them down into professional connections. These are going to be your colleagues, any mentors that you have, industry contacts, and then look at your educational connections. If you've been to college, your alumni networks, former teachers, or other mentors from your schooling. Once you've done that, then ask yourself, who in my immediate circle has the knowledge, has the experience, or has the connections that can help me reach my goals? And hopefully you know what your goals are, your personal, your professional, and your financial goals. And if you're not clear on those goals, go back to episode number 1 of Her Money Revolution. And I'd encourage you to work through each of those episodes in order to really identify your goals, your purpose, your vision, personally, professionally, and financially. So once you've identified key individuals, the next step is to craft a strategy for reaching out to them. That could be challenging for some of us, but truly, 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 please don't overthink this. If you get too caught up in your head, you might hesitate and miss the opportunity to connect with somebody. So depending on the relationship that you've identified, you might need to have a strategy to reconnect and re-nurture that bond before you ask for help. If it's been a while, start with a casual conversation to rebuild that rapport before you dive into the business and financial discussions, right? So my husband and I just did this actually. We have some friends in Atlanta and we haven't talked to them. We send random texts back and forth once in a while, but it's probably been 6 years since we have actually had a full conversation with these friends. And we just text back and forth like, hey, let's do a happy hour, a virtual happy hour. And we scheduled it. This was last week. We scheduled it and we spent 3 hours just chatting and connecting and talking about business and kids and all the things. Now, I'm not saying that maybe going to use them for something specific with my business or helping me launch something, but you never know where that might lead or how I can be there to help support them in their business or their career opportunities. Alternatively, it's a new connection. If it's not somebody that you've been in relationships with in the past, but it's a new connection, then reach out and be specific with your ask. So clearly communicate what it is that you're seeking, whether it's advice or an introduction to somebody else or possibly a partnership with them. So for example, you might say something like, hey, I'm looking to explore investment options for my business. Can we set up a time to discuss your experiences with these specific investing options that you've used in your business? That's one example. And always look to offer value in return. That is something that I think is really critical in this networking step, is that you want to make it mutually beneficial for that relationship for them as well. So by offering your own expertise or your own time and resources in exchange is a really key point here. So I want to tell you a recent experience for me that I've had in this type of networking in my home zone. So this time last year, August of 2023, I was at my oldest son's football practice. There were a few other moms around, and one of them had brought her daughter with her. And naturally, my daughter, who was 4 at the time, started chatting with them. My daughter is my little social butterfly. She just talks to everybody as her best friend right away. And if you remember, I consider myself an outgoing introvert. I don't mind talking, but I rarely will initiate a conversation with strangers. It's just not my thing. I've used my daughter a couple times, like, hey, go talk to them. But anyway, so during those first few practices, I didn't even talk to Jen. That's the mom of the little girl. I didn't even have a conversation with her. But after a few weeks, my daughter and her daughter had become really good friends. And so then Jen and I began chatting a little bit more each practice or each football game. I engaged in more conversation. I started asking questions, and I quickly discovered that we had a lot in common. Awesome. She's a mom of 3. Me too. She owns her own business. Me too. She has a solid business mentor that she talks to on a monthly basis. Oh my gosh, me too. Then she mentioned that she was working on starting an online course and possibly launching a podcast. I was like, wait, what? Are you kidding me? Like, that, not me too, but that is something that I keep talking about and it's on my vision board, and I would love to pick your brain about that. Long story short, though, so we became really good football friends, I'll say, because we only chatted during practices and games. And then, unfortunately, the football season ended. Her kids attended a different school, still in our district, but a different school. So I knew that I wouldn't be seeing her again until next football season. So I was really kind of bumming about that. And I let a couple months pass by. I was like busy with everything else. But finally I decided, okay, I really do want to launch this podcast. So I would love to have someone that's in that process as well. Like, what is she doing? What is she using? So I stepped out of my comfort zone and I reached out to her for lunch. I sent her an email because I don't think I had her cell number, but I found her email. We scheduled what was supposed to be a 1-hour lunch and it turned into 3, maybe even 4 hours of a nonstop conversation. And I felt like I had met my person. She says the same thing. Like, we were so excited how natural that connection was and how easy the conversation flowed. And we just clicked on so many different levels. Even with her and her husband, they do their Thursday date nights. We call ours date night and they call them love dates, I think. They have their monthly money talks on their date nights. And so we've even done a couple double dates and it's been just absolutely amazing. So you might be thinking like, okay, Angela, what is the point? Great. You made a new friend. What's the point? Here's my point. I stepped out of my comfort zone, right in my home zone. And that small step has led into incredible growth personally, professionally, I'd even say financially. Together, Jen and I started a networking group called Bold that I've mentioned. And it has been the most amazing experience. Okay. We have surrounded ourselves with like-minded individuals and it has been incredibly empowering. Not only that, Jen was already 5 steps ahead of me in that whole podcast area of launching her online course and podcast. So she introduced me to her business coach and her business coach introduced me to Brooke, who I ended up hiring to launch Her Money Revolution. And honestly, the connections and the growth just keep unfolding month after month. This all started from a simple conversation at football practice. Awesome. So maybe you're someone wouldn't consider themselves an outgoing introvert. You have a lot of connections, but you struggle with the accountability or following through on the next steps. You have a lot of people in your circle, but you don't ask the ask. You don't schedule an appointment to talk to them specifically about what it is, how they could help you. So I want to encourage you to take a concrete action after each interaction. Once you've identified a certain person that can help you accomplish whatever goal it is that you have, set an actionable goal. So decide on a specific next step. So for example, for me, that would be, let's connect, let's schedule an appointment. So if you want to schedule an appointment, you might say something like, hey, thank you so much for your insights. We've talked about this so many different times at all the different parties or football practices or whatever it may be, but I would love to dive deeper into some of your advice before I move forward in launching my own business. Is it possible if we could schedule lunch or a time that works for you? Because I would really value your experience and having dedicated time to ask you some of the specific questions that I have would be really incredibly helpful for me. Okay, that isn't so hard. But then here's the key. Literally take out your calendar. We all have them or on our cell phones and schedule it. Make it happen and then show up to that appointment. This is going to show too that you're respecting their time and that you're excited about their guidance and their support. And you never know where it may lead. So just take that next step. I trust that this episode has been helpful. We explored how your network can be one of the most valuable assets in building wealth, from leveraging key relationships to finding mentors and to overcoming fear. And I also discussed the 5 key strategies and how to use your networks more effectively to help you get ahead. I shared some of my own personal stories on how networking has been essential in my own journey and how stepping out of my comfort zone and nurturing connections, new and old ones, can lead to life-changing opportunities. I don't want to be dramatic with saying that, but truly, truly life-changing opportunities to help you grow your wealth. Because remember, your network is there to support you. So don't go it alone. Wealth is not built in isolation. Your network, your mentors, your community, they all play a crucial role in helping you achieve your goals and your financial goals. So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to build those relationships and to lean on others for support. Thank you for tuning in to Her Money Revolution. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with your network, because when we support each other, we all grow. Until next time, keep striving, keep thriving, and keep building your wealth. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you are feeling more empowered in your financial journey. Remember, follow and subscribe to Her Money Revolution on your favorite podcast platform, and share your feedback by leaving a review. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's episode. Until next time, stay inspired.